Welcome back, guys. Today I'm going to work on beginning to do a new American flag, a second American flag after my first one. I'm just playing around and experimenting with a few things. So this time I actually went and bought furring strips because they're already cut. Furring strips are really cheap. They're like $1.50 for an 8-foot section. So I could basically get 2 stripes per furring strip. And I'm going to stain this one instead of burn it. What I did start off with is playing around with the stain, and you know, your union and your stripes are going to come up to each other, and so it was brought up to me a concern about bleeding. So I took a razor blade, it was suggested to me, and I used a hammer and kind of beat it into that line right there. It bled over a little bit. I think some of the white was me like actually putting it over, but I think some of that blue bled through. And what I did notice is I used a wood chisel, and it gave me a lot cleaner, more defined line, and I got a good line going on right there, as you see. And this is just a piece of scrap wood, and I don't think that like is going to be a problem. It's not going to make my flag look bad or anything in the final result. Like, it's not gonna have a big gouge and everything. I put a real clean, solid line, so that's what I'm gonna do. Yeah. So anyways, the first thing I need to do, since these are furring strips, is I've got my palm sander out and I've got them all lined up, and I'm just going to give them a quick sand down to try to smooth the surface. If you've ever used furring strips before, you know that they are not a smooth surface. They're really rough, so I needed to sand them down with the palm sander. Then of course I need to take my measurements to get it cut. And as you know, the union is connected to the top 7 stripes on the flag. So once I got my 7, I got out my template, got my wood chisel, and edged right along the line so that when I do go to start staining, I have that nice crisp line on there. I applied the majority of the stain with a rag, but when I was getting close to the line and I didn't want any bleed over, I got a small brush, a craft brush, out to do this. And what you're seeing here is a frame that I built for building these flags. I got this idea from someone else off the internet. It will help hold them in place. It will help me glue them together and them hold together and keep a nice tight corner especially. So I decided to go ahead and lay it in that, and you see me using the brush and getting the lines as clean as possible. And then of course I'm off to the next side. One option I could have done other than alternating red, white on this is number each piece of furring strip, and just know that my odd numbers would be red and my even numbers would be white. But, you know, as you see, I didn't go that route. Once the stain dried, it was time to glue these down, glue them together, brace it in place, and leave it overnight. I wanted to put a board on top of this, and I wanted to put a bunch of weight on it so that they would not only secure fairly evenly to each other, but tight and not ripple or ruffle, or however you want to say it. Welcome back, guys. So I got this out this morning after you saw the way it was left, with some pieces of wood on top of it, 4 yard pavers, a big bag of sand. It was clamped down. It was in the frame I built. So good news is the pieces are together. The bad news is that still, with using furring strips, it's not 100% smooth surface. So this is my takeaway. This is what I've learned, is if you want it to have a completely very uniform, professional, like hanging on your living room wall look, don't use furring strips. Use a piece of high quality wood and rip it down yourself. If you want something, this one to me looks more like it'd be hanging in your garage. A little rustic looking. The furring strips were pretty easy. I didn't have to rip them all down. That saved me one step. I do have a little bit of glue. We're gonna get that off here, and we're gonna get it, just go ahead and like take it off of the back side as good as we can. So let's jump into that step. And I'm just gonna use a putty knife, a metal one. Your best bet is to do this when it's still tacky, not wait overnight. I did not come back out, probably I would say like an hour maybe after, especially because I had all that stuff lying on top of it that I didn't want to take everything off that was sitting on it. But had it been clamped down and just clamped down, if I would have come back like an hour later, this would scrape right off without making a mess. And of course, when everything's wet and when it's glued together, you're trying to clamp it down, like, you don't want to be smearing the glue all over it. At least that's my opinion. Alright, you guys see what I'm doing. I'm gonna finish this up on my own. So, it's kind of funny, guys, because I've been having conversation with friends about how much higher quality it is to Dremel or to use wood chisel and edge out the stars versus just gluing them on or painting them on. And I had every intention of using wood chisel and chiseling each and every one of these and using my Dremel and just improving on the craft of the stars this time. And then when I saw the stain, and this one was you know, ready to go last night, or this morning I should say, I saw it, like I saw the vision of what it needs to be. So I'm actually going to be doing exactly what I said I wasn't going to do. And the reason for that is because I'm going to do this star, and some of the fine detail of that I can't edge that out, so I'm just going to paint this. And this is a couple hours after that first coat of polyurethane. I'm going to do one more just to treat it. You guys have seen me use this polyurethane a few times now, so I intentionally laid it on very, very thick. I want it very thick. Okay guys, I wanted to finish this off with just putting some little wall hangers on it so it can be mounted to the wall. With that, you probably want to see the finished product. I'm done with it. I'm happy with it. It sat with 2 coats of polyurethane overnight. Pretty pleased with it. Yeah, a little faded, but I'm happy with that. You know, I think the turning point on this one, when I decided rather than doing the dremeled out stars but to do this, was when I saw this stain. So I mean, just some thoughts about this. The stain, I might try again another one. I probably will, just because I like doing these, and I'll try to go a lot lighter. It might be me, it might not be the stain, but I mean, it's called a stain, but that to me is more of like painted on. It's pretty dark. So I like this one with the furring strips. They're super cheap. I could not, and I tried really hard. You saw how much stuff I laid on top. Of course, laying it on this dirty table. Now I got crud all over it. But I tried really hard to get them completely even. That is just, I don't think it's going to happen with furring strips. So this is one that if you want a little bit more of a rugged, worn out look to it. If you want a very, very clean, uniform one, don't go with furring strips. So all in all, I'm pleased. Hope you guys like it. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you next time.